Okay, so let's start. First, we need a geometry node and a texture coordinate. We have the object coordinate. When you use this output, you are using the object coordinate of the object that has the material assigned, but you can choose a specific object here. So what we are going to do is to choose the emitter here. That's our sphere. With Ctrl H, you can hide this. And here we can use the position. This is absolute, it's always the same. It's the world origin, basically. It's the 0. So if we move our object, let me go back to the plane. So if we move our object, this position won't change, but the object position will change. So what we need to do here is to vector math. So now what we're going to do is to take the position and subtract the object, and we will get a value. In this case is 0 because the object is at the world origin, but you can see as we move this, it changes color. That's the difference between them. This will be our emitter location. Ctrl J, rename, emitter location. Now we need the location of the particles, and we can do this with object info node. That will give you the particles are treated as different objects. So when you set the location, you can see that each one has a different location, and we can use that vector math, and we set this to distance, and we plug both, and it will give us the distance from the center of the sphere to the position of the particle. Okay, so now what's going on is that we have the 0 on the center of the sphere, not at the border. So when it reaches this point, it's already at 1, because the sphere has a radius of 1. So when it reaches here, it's already at 1 distance, and that's 1, that's white. So what we can do is add 2 value nodes again, emitter radius, and these two max distance. We'll explain. Okay, so in this case, the radius of our emitter here is 1. We will use a map range, and we will transform this information that's 0 to the distance, and we will, if we plug this, that will mean that the 0 is no longer at the center, it's at 1. So the surface of this sphere becomes the 0. But we need to also expand the maximum value, so we have an animation. When we set this to, for example, how much do we want the animation to last? So we have 0 here, and in this case, for example, I want it to last for 1 meter. So I will set this to 1. I will add a math node, set to add, and I will plug this. So it's the minimum, but we add the distance, and this will be our max there. Okay, so they born, or at the border they are black, and they become white as they reach 1 in this case, or we can make it last a little more. So this is our timeline. And as you can see, it works now. The only thing we don't have here is the possibility to combine this to the particle when it dies. How I did this was to add an empty or a transparent frame as the last frame. So when it reaches the end of the animation, you won't see anything else, instead of just stopping at the last frame and continuing as the last frame. That's not what you want. So this is our Eevee. Animation, and let's test it. If we, instead of the cycles thing, we plug this here, you can add a thing there so you can change it easier. And we need to set the blend mode here to alpha blend. And lastly, if you see the animation stays at 1, because when it reaches, in this case, we are multiplying by the total number of frames by 9, and it reaches exactly 9 instead of dying in Eevee, it will go back to the first frame. So the easy fix, I'm not sure if there's a more elegant way to do it. I don't care because this works. So we are going to subtract just a super small number from this animation that goes from 0 to 1. And doesn't matter which one you use. This will, in this case, it's just for the Eevee because the cycles has the end of the particle. But as you can see now, it disappears because I'm using one that has the last, the 9. It's just a black square. Here I'm using the one with the 9. As you can see, it stays at 9. And if we use the one where I replace the 9 with an empty number or a black number, you can see that after 8 it disappears because it stays at the last frame, it's black. Okay, that was it. That was a long tutorial. I hope you have liked it. It's a bit complex, but I think you will understand, and see you in the next video.